Hello, folks. Welcome back to Rugby Ascendant segment. This is Chris in Pennsylvania. Well, last week I pretty much hit the nail on the head with my selection. The only error that I had based on what Jacques Nienaber put out there was Kane and Moody. The rest I got right. Did ask a question about Lukanyam, but didn't know his status. So let's give it a shot again for the semifinal since I had such a good selection for the quarterfinal. Let's get into this, but let's talk a little bit about this team. The Springboks come into the World Cup with 33 players, and some of whom have been a little bit left out in this World Cup, so the odd man out. But the players they've gone with have been quite exceptional and gotten the job done when it needed to be done, particularly in that France game. However, there have been some injury losses. The major one, of course, was the loss of Malcolm Marx, the world-class hooker who went out, and Deon Free stepped in as the backup at that role, the multi-purpose utility player, Deon Free, the oldest ever capped Springbok, and one of my favorites as a fan. Of course, my bias, he's a Province Stormers guy, but that's okay. So Marx went out, and that was a significant loss. When Marx went out, a hooker, Jacques Nienaber and Rossi Erasmus brought up Henri Pollard, which was always the plan. People were questioning it, but they were always planning on bringing up the fly half. So he came up, and that allowed Damon Willemse to shift back to his fullback position. The other loss to injury was Makazole Mapimpi, who took a brutal hit to the cheek, and it was rough looking when he went off, and he's out of the World Cup. With the absence of Makazole Mapimpi, they brought up Lukanyam, but he didn't feature last week. We didn't see him even on the roster anywhere, so one has to wonder if he's still not quite fit and he's just there as an insurance policy. But let's talk about the quarterfinal standouts. There was some absolutely amazing play by a lot of Springboks, but these six stand out in my mind. They just monster job by Eben Etzebeth all over the place, messing things up. Johnny on the spot. Dwayne Vermeulen, who's back in form and an outstanding number 8, who got the start as I predicted. Kobus Reinach, the combination of Kobus Reinach and Monty Libbok was brilliant. I would put Monty Libbok on this list of standouts were it not for the fact he missed 5 tackles and 1 conversion. But beyond that, his game was absolutely brilliant. His kicking game was fantastic. And he only went half the game. But Reinach, who also only went about half the game, was unbelievable. He was a dogged bull terrier out there, just causing all kinds of trouble. More like a Tasmanian devil was Kobus Reinach. This guy is a really amazing player, and he is getting the playing time he deserves and should get the start again. Jesse Creel, a lot of doubters, a lot of people not believing Jesse Creel, a lot of people saying he wasn't up to the task. Remember, he was not even expected to make this squad by most of the pundits. However, I said he would and said he should be there. Well, with Lukanyam out, the best at his position in the world, Jesse Creel is making a run for that claim as well. What a brilliant job by Jesse Creel. Absolutely brilliant. The little grubber kick that he put forward for Cheslin Colby, a thing of beauty. And did you see what he looked like after the game? Hopefully he's fit for this game. But Jesse Creel's amazing. Cheslin Colby, what can you say? The lost cause, chase down of that conversion, Tomas Ramos, and that wound up being the 2 critical points. We won the game. Damien de Allende was just a monster. I thought that at times in this World Cup, he kind of checked out, but not in the quarterfinal. He was absolutely amazing. And one of the unsung stories, well, not unsung, people were talking about it, but I said immediately after the game, I said the reason that the team won was 3 reasons, but one of the main reasons they won was the strength of their bench. I mean, look at these players that came off at an impact, a huge impact. Vincent Koch was not out there very long. I think he's out there about 10 minutes or less, but his impact was impressive for the short time he's out there. Oxen Shea made a significant difference, fresh legs when he came off the bench. RG Snyman, other than a lost line out deep in France territory, which I'm not sure if that was his fault or Bongi's fault. I think it was RG's fault. Whatever the case is, other than that, he stood up, was amazing, and had a huge impact in this game. Quagga Smith, the dogged, everywhere guy, the former Blitzbach, Quagga Smith got it done, and he was incredible off the bench. And of course, Deon Free, the guy I said that should come off the bench, who's got the energy, he's got the legs, and he can fill in a lot of places. Hooker, you can put him in the middle there. Yeah, put him wherever you need him. The guy gets it done. Deon Free, this bench strength is ultimately one of the reasons why the Springboks outlasted France in that game. Now, the call-ups, these are the 9 players who are on the roster, but weren't necessarily playing. Of course, Henri Pollard has been called up, and he's already played in a couple games now. He played in Tonga, and he also played the second half in this game in the quarterfinal. Lukanyam, who's been called up but is yet to step on the pitch. But look at the strength we've got here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, these are the odd men left out who haven't even made onto the pitch yet. Dweba is world-class. He was not good at lineouts. He was terrible at them, in fact, but he's improved dramatically. But the rest of his game is just unbelievably brilliant. He makes great tackles. He picks up meters. He does the hard fights, does a great job in the scrum. But Lou Diager, who's Mr. Hard Luck Injury, he's kind of like Jean de Villiers, constantly getting injured, but he's a world-class lock, and he is on the bench. Jean-Luc Dupré, a rising talent who has lots of skills, not even getting a shot in this World Cup. And here is really the I may left out. This is a guy they could have used in the France game, but they managed to pull off what they had. And that's Thomas Dutoy, Thomas the Train. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Herschel Yankees, the scrum half, falling a bit down in the rankings, and he's probably where he belongs there. And Evan Ruiz, who looks to be one of the most amazing young players in the world, but who's been uneven in the test build up to this World Cup. So it makes sense he's there. But and Steenkamp, the prop. This is a world-class bench that would be starters on virtually any team in the world, all of them. But they are Springboks, and so they are down the roster. This was a quarterfinal lineup for the game against France, and with the exception of that right wing Kurtley Arnsay, whom I personally prefer, but I suggest that Kane and Moody should get the start. The rest of this, I was spot on my selection, and I called it just as they went. In particular, things I'll point out is the selection of Dwayne Vermeulen over Jasper Wiese, Monty Lebeck over Henri Pollard, and Kobus Reinach over Faf de Klerk. Those were my calls, and I thought that was the way they should go, and that's what they did. And then, of course, these are my semifinal predictions. The only change now, the Springboks love to make changes all the time in their lineout. The only change I would make to this lineout would be to bring Keenan Moody in for his height, which would be very helpful against England's wings, fighting them in the high ball. So he's got a bit of height on Kurtley Arnsay. Although Arnsay is brilliant and a favorite of mine over Moody. But nonetheless, this is the lineup I would go with, leave it pretty much the same. That's the starters. And then finally off the bench, this is the one change I would make here, and that's Grant Williams. I would elevate Grant Williams and relegate Faf de Klerk. Grant Williams is got the speed. He's got the ball handling. He's got the finesse. He can find the gaps, kind of like Kobus Reinach. And the little bit he's played in this World Cup, he is just stunned, been amazing, particularly in the Scotland game. You see the image there from the Scotland game. He was absolutely brilliant in the short time he's out there. So I would bring Grant Williams in off the bench as my backup scrum half and push Faf down. Now, this leaves one question here. What about Lukan Yuam? Well, folks, I don't know about Lukan Yuam. I have no idea what's going on with him. I don't know if he's injured, if he's not fit, what's going on. But at this stage, after watching Jesse Creel throughout this tournament and how he's a great player, in my view, to begin with, I've never underrated him, and a player who, in my view, has improved his game as the World Cup has progressed. Absolutely stunning, world-class performance against France when it was needed, saving a couple tries with the tackles from behind that weren't even his play. He covered a lot of ground and stopped them from scoring. At this stage, even if Lukan Yuam is fit, and yes, he is arguably the best player in the world in his position, but he hasn't been playing. And that energy, that connection between De Allende and Jesse Creel was so real in this game. You go with that combination. And Lucanio, if he's available, you find some way to, I don't know, take Villy out, maybe put Lucanio in there and make some changes and shift some players around. Remember, I've got Grant Williams here. Grant Williams can move from scrum half to another position. So Kane and Moody can play that center position if necessary. We've already experimented with that. So there you go. There's my selection for the semifinal against England, Saturday night, 21st of October, 2023 at the Stade de France, St. Denis, Paris. Oh, man, let's not take them for granted. I've loved the close games we had in the quarterfinals. They were brilliant. And a close game with England would be nice, but I wouldn't mind a good old-fashioned thumping of England either. But South Africa has to show up. They have to look at this game, not the final. This is what's up next. And there you have it, folks. Those are my predictions for the Springboks lineup for semifinal. If you don't agree, you feel free to offer your suggestions. Polite comments would be appreciated, not snarky nonsense or telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, because in fact, I do know what I'm talking about. But these are my selections. And will I get them right? Well, it depends what Nienaber and Rossi want to come up with. Thank you, folks. Take care of yourselves and good luck. Boka, boka, boka.